Hi folks, this is Sheila at BOCES. For today's lesson, we're going to be doing some math, starting at the beginning of the math section of the yellow 2014 GED book. Math starts on page 411. So we're going to be doing lessons 1, 2, and 3, which is pages 411 through 417. Let me share my whiteboard with you here. So the first thing we need to talk about when it comes to math is math vocabulary. It's kind of hard to answer questions about math if you don't know what they're asking for. So some math terms that people probably don't use a whole lot. If we see the word sum, that means we are adding together. So you will use addition when we are combining amounts or when we need to find a total. That will all be addition. The next word that I want to talk about is difference. We maybe hear this one a little bit more. Difference means subtraction. And we are using that when we want to take away something, find the difference, or find how many more or how many less when we are given amounts. Next term is product. We don't use this one very much. Product means multiply. If somebody tells you to find the product of something, that means multiply those numbers together. So we do this, for example, when we are trying to combine numbers that's the same number over and over and over again. Like if we're talking about making the same payment every month. So it's when we're putting together equal amounts repeatedly. Amounts would help if I could spell correctly, right? And then finally, we have one that most people really don't know, and that is this word here, quotient. The quotient means to divide. We divide when we take an amount and we're amount and we want it to be in equal portions. So break it up into equal portions. Okay, so in our book, page 411 and 412, that very first lesson is just add, subtract, multiply, divide. Make sure that you know how to do that. The good news is that with our HiSET, the high school equivalency test, we can use a calculator. So don't be worried about having to multiply great big numbers, divide great big numbers, do it all by hand on a piece of paper. You can use your calculator. So I'm pretty much going to skip the questions on page 412, and we're going to go right to 413. Our example on page 413 says that Victor has a doctor's bill of $55 and a pharmacy bill of $12. Which operation shows the total of the bills? So looking here at our little list of how we know what we are using, we see that a total means to add. On example 1, we have our 4 choices there, A, B, C, and D, and you'll see that those are in a format that is actually quite common on the HiSET test, where you're not actually being asked to solve the problem, you are being asked to set the problem up for how you would solve the problem. So on example 1, where we have our doctor's bill of $55 and a pharmacy bill of $12, which operation shows the total? Well, we know that total means addition. So we look at our list, we see that option A is 55 plus 12, so that is what we're looking for. On example 2, we have Ahmed, Rita, and Lilia are sharing the $126 profit from their yard sale. So we have 3 people sharing something equally. That means we're dividing it. We're taking an amount and we're breaking it up into equal portions. So our option there, we have option D is the total amount divided by 3. So if you could take a minute and pause this video and work out the questions on page 414 on your own. And after you've done that, come back and we will discuss them. Okay, hopefully everybody paused the video and came back to work on these questions. So on page 414, problem number 1, the Chang family pays a car loan payment of $269 a month. Which of the following expressions shows how much they will pay on the loan in a 12-month period? So we know it's $269 per month. Down here, I'm going to use my little draw tool, and the stylus here doesn't exactly come out the best, but we know that we have $269. Okay, that looks terrible, I apologize, but how much will they pay on the loan in a 12-month period? So they're going to be paying that same amount, and they're going to be doing it every month for 12 months. So we're taking an equal amount and we're putting it together repeatedly. So we could add 269 12 times over, or we can just multiply 269 times 12. And again, we're not even actually being asked to solve that. We're just being asked which one of these is what we would do. So that is option C. So we'll erase that question and we will go back to question number 2. Last month, Teresa paid $137 to heat her home. This month she paid $124. Which of the following expressions shows the total cost of heating her home for 12 months? We have that key word there, total. So we are going to take 137 plus 124 because we want to find our total. So that is option A. Okay, question number 3. Carl filled up the gas tank on his delivery truck. The total cost of the gas is shown on the pump below. If he paid for the gas with a $50 bill, which of the following expressions shows how much money Carl should get back in change? So we're taking away something. We have our $50 that he had, his $50 bill, and he has to pay for the $28 in gas and get change back. So we will take that 50 and we will subtract the $28 in gas. So our correct answer there is option D, 50 minus 28. Okay, question number 4. Mark starts with $327 in his checking account. If he writes a check for $189, which of the following expressions shows how much will be left in his account? So, how much will be left after he writes a check? We are taking something away again. So, he starts with $327. And we are taking away the check he wrote for $189. So that is option B. Okay, question number 5. 4 friends carpool to work together Monday through Friday. Each week they pay a total of $62 for gas, parking, and tolls. Which of the following expressions shows how they could split the cost evenly? So we are taking an amount and we're breaking it up into equal portions. So we're going to take that $62 that they pay in total, and we are going to divide it between the 4 friends. So that is option D, 62 divided by 4. And then finally, question 6. Pepper High School's cheerleading squad is hosting a car wash to help raise money for their trip to the National High School Cheerleading Championship. They earn $8 for each car they wash. By the end of the day, the squad washed 123 cars. Write the expression that shows how much money the cheerleaders raised from the car wash. So this time we do not have multiple choice. We just have to fill in our answer. But we know we look at this, we find the information that we know. We know that they're earning $8 per car. So that is our amount. They're doing that for every car, so it's always going to be an equal amount. So we are going to multiply $8 times the 123 cars they washed. It's a lot easier to multiply 8 times 123 than to add 8 123 times. Okay. Finally, we are going to go on to lesson 3 on page 413. That is all about solving word problems. Word problems have a tendency of tricking people up on math. People usually do fairly well when you just have an equation in front of you, or they find it easier, but a word problem seems to be a little bit trickier. So part of the strategy of solving word problems is to read the problem all at once, and then read it again and try to pick out the information that you're going to need to solve that particular problem. So on page 415, our example, Roberto drove 357 miles on Monday and 509 miles on Tuesday. How many more miles did he drive on Tuesday than on Monday? How many more? That is our clue right there. How many more? That means we're using subtraction and finding a difference. So we will take the larger number, 509, because that's what he drove on Tuesday, subtract the smaller number, 357, for how many miles he drove on Monday. And once we do that, we find that our answer is 152. Again, if you have a calculator available, you feel free to use that calculator. 509 minus 357 will give us 152. So again, please pause this video and go to page 416 and complete those 6 problems, and then come back and we will go through those problems together. Okay, hopefully you all had a few minutes and worked through the 6 questions on page 416. So we'll now go through those together. First of all, we have problem number 1. Marcus has $827 in his checking account. He writes a check for $189. How much will be left in the account? So we are taking something away. We are doing subtraction. So we will take that $827. We will subtract the $189 that he wrote for in the check, which will leave us with, that was an absolutely awful dollar sign. I apologize for that. That's not much better, but 827 minus 189 will leave us, excuse me, I feel like I'm going to sneeze, with, I believe, $638. So our answer is D. Again, feel free to use your calculator when doing these things. It's great to be able to do it without the calculator. However, the HiSET is timed, so you want to save your time to work out the problems that are more time consuming to work out. So whenever you can use your calculator, use your calculator. Okay, question number 2, we have this diagram of the square footage of the 2 rooms. Alexa is buying carpet for her home. The diagram shows the amount of carpeting needed for each of 2 rooms. What is the total square feet of carpet that Alexa needs? Total, there's that word, total, which means we're adding. So we're going to take the 168 square feet of the one room. We are going to add the 154 square feet in the other room to get our total square footage, which is 322 square feet, which is option A. Okay, Problem number 3. The Valdez family pays $289 a month on a car loan. How much will the family spend on the car loan in a 1-year period? Okay, so we know that our payment is $289 a month. The trick there is that it's per month, but then it tells us it's 1 year. Well, we know that there are 12 months in a year, so we're going to make this payment 12 times in 1 year. So we will take 289 times 12, and we will get $3,468, which is option D. Okay, question number 4. 6 friends commute to work together. Each week, the gas, parking, and tolls cost $114. If they split the costs equally, how much does each friend pay per week toward the commuting costs? Okay, we are taking an amount and we are breaking it into equal portions. So we are dividing. So we have 114 divided by our 6 friends. That's a gigantic division sign there. So the trick with division is knowing what number to put in first. So we are putting the larger number, that's the amount we're splitting up. We're taking 114 and we're dividing it by 6, which is $19, option B. Okay, question number 5. Emily worked 68 hours in 2 weeks. She earned $7 per hour. How much did she earn in the 2 weeks? This is a question where we have to figure out the information that we need. So we've got a few different numbers in there. We know that she did it over 2 weeks, but that really doesn't come into doing our math, because to know how much money she made, we have to know how many total hours she worked, which is the 68. And she makes $7 per hour. So we are taking an equal amount repeatedly. 68 times 7. And if we do that, we will get $476, which is option D. Okay, and then finally, question 6. The Scotts drove 576 miles in 8 hours. If they drove the same number of miles each hour, how many miles did they drive in 1 hour? So this is taking our total, 576, and we are breaking it up because we know they drove the same number each hour. So if we take 576 and we divide it by 8, we will get 72. They drove 72 miles each hour. Okay, hopefully everybody was able to follow that. I know it was a really quick little summary of those first 3 lessons. The next lesson, order of operations, is a very important one, so we will do that on a separate video. Thank you, everybody, and I will see you with the next lesson.